Welcome to my channel, Chikiken here, and today we're going to be talking about the Durgod K320 Nebula. I've used this keyboard for a year now, so here's an in-depth review of this keyboard. Some things to go over before we get this review started is its keyboard form factor, which is TKO, which means there is no numpad, and its price, which is currently $150 on Amazon. Like always, we're going to be starting with what's inside the box. In the box, you are given a wire keycap holder, two cables, one USB-C to USB-C and one USB-C to USB-A, a plastic dust protector for your keyboard for when it's not in use, and obviously your keyboard itself. You were also given a manual, however I lost that, so I'm sorry. I feel like there is no need for sections in this review, so let's just get into the keyboard. Starting with the cable that connects the keyboard to the PC, it is USB-C on one side and USB-A on the other. The USB-C side connects into the keyboard and is detachable. There are also cable management cutouts on the back of the keyboard in order for you to route the wire to wherever you please. For example, you could have the cable leave on the right side or the left side of the keyboard. Other than that, the last thing on the back of the keyboard are flip-out feet that changes the angle of your wrist while you are typing. There are also rubber feet on the back of the keyboard that works really well in stopping the keyboard from moving. Before we get to the front side of the keyboard, let's talk about dimensions. The keyboard is 37.5 centimeters long, 13.2 centimeters wide, and 2.4 centimeters at its tallest point. So the main attraction of this keyboard for most people is going to be the RGB. There are 11 different RGB modes in this keyboard and I will be cycling through all of them. If you're not interested in RGB, then you can check the story chapters and just skip to the next part. So the first on our list is the basic rainbow wave. The next is breathing through each and every color. The next one is breathing through each and every color but slower and fading between black within each color. The next one is a rainbow barf effect. The next one is a reactive one with a rainbow effect for each key that you press. The next one is another reactive one, where each key that you press, it radiates throughout the entire line of that key. The next one is another reactive one. This one's kind of like a ripple effect. The next one is just a rainbow snake that goes through the keyboard. The next one is another reactive one that reacts based on how often you press the keys. This one is just blank. And finally, this one is a rainbow circle effect. Other than that, there are a few more RGB functions that I would like to go through. There are two buttons in order to turn off and on the RGB. There are also two buttons to change the direction of the RGB. And there are two buttons to change the brightness of the RGB. This button changes the specific color of the RGB effect. And this button resets it back to normal. Function plus arrow keys left and right either speed up or slow down the RGB effects. The rest of the function keys are multimedia keys, pretty basic, and the function window keys is a Windows lock key. There are 4 lights above the arrow keys that indicate different things. The first one is caps lock, the second one is screen lock, the third one is the Windows lock key, and the fourth one is a macro key. I'll be going over the macro key / switching profiles later on in the video, So for now, just know that this switches profiles between the normal keyboard layout and the keyboard layout that you can choose of your own. Those are all the specific keys for this keyboard, so let's get into the keycaps. Included with the keyboard, you are given double shot PBT keycaps. This means that the key legends, which are the letters and symbols of the keys, will never fade or chip off. PBT is also the highest quality keycaps, so that's a plus for the keycap side of this keyboard. The switches that I got for this keyboard are Cherry MX Silvers. Now, without getting into too much detail about them, these are the fastest switches that Cherry MX offers, and as far as I know, that Durgod offers. The switches and stabilizers come pre-lubed, which is a nice plus for this keyboard. The lube doesn't seem to be too heavy or too light, it seems to be just perfect. Please keep in mind that when I say that, I am a mere user of this keyboard. I am not a professional, so other people might say otherwise. So this is the Durgod K320's software for the keyboard. It's pretty old-fashioned looking, it's not really modern looking. If I go over the keyboard here, you can see that I can change the macros for the switching the profile. So if I ever switch the profile, I can for example have these macros on my keyboard. If I go over to lighting, you can change the lighting through this. You don't have to go through all the keys on the keyboard, but I prefer doing that because the software is really janky. One thing to note with this software is that if you go to the customize and start changing the macros, it doesn't work. You can't like switch to your profile until you close the software. It wasn't mentioned anywhere, so I didn't know that, and I was frustrated because I couldn't switch to my profile while the software is open. If I go over the macro, this is where you can change the macros. So if I go to create and you click record, you can type whatever you want. High, you can do combinations, you can do all sorts of different things. You can even do spamming left click macros, stuff like that. But yeah, you can also create a new profile here just to have like different profiles, but then you're only allowed to have one profile on your macro at once. But yeah, other than that, this is the software for the keyboard. Let's get into a quick sound test and then let's wrap up this video. Although the switches do sound nice, it doesn't have the nice stock it does like custom keyboards, but it's to be expected. The switches themselves sound nice, however the stabilizers do seem to be a little bit rattly at times, especially the spacebar. Before we wrap up this video, some other problems I experienced with this keyboard is that the B key sometimes doesn't work. I don't know if that's an electronic problem on my end or if this is defective with every keyboard after a year of use, but that is a problem that I deal with. One other problem is that sometimes the entire keyboard just stops working, and in order for me to fix it, I just unplug it and plug it back in. It does get annoying after a while, but again, it is another problem that you might want to consider. So to wrap up this video, there are a few cons and pros that I want to list out to help you figure out if this is the right keyboard for you. Starting with the pros. The keyboard comes with double shot PBT keycaps, which is the highest quality keycaps, and make sure that the keycaps will not fade, so I really like that. It also comes in a TKL form factor, 10 keyless. I like this because it has the F keys at the top, but also removes the unnecessary numpad. Pre-lubed switches and stabilizers, you don't have to go out and look for your own lube, it comes with lube and is nicely lubed. A USB-C connection for the keyboard, which is just nice to have, everything's going USB-C now. A variety of RGB effects and a lot of control over the RGB effects. Like I showed in the video, A lot of that RGB is controllable through the keyboard. You don't have to download any extra software for it. It's just there out of the box and just nice and handy to have. These are all the most important pros that I could think of. Now onto the cons. The rattly stabilizers are pretty annoying. You hear it all the time and you just can't get it out of your head. On top of that, it is hard to mod, so if you want to get rid of the rattly stabilizers, you can't really do it because I've tried to take this apart. It's just really hard to, and I would not recommend modding this keyboard. Again, like I mentioned, I occasionally have to unplug and replug this keyboard because it stops working. Also, specific keys seem to stop working after a while. This might be just because of use and it just wearing out, or it could be a bigger problem. I really don't know, but it's a problem and I believe I should mention it. Those were all the cons that I could find with this keyboard. I hope I helped you make a purchasing decision or entertain you. Please like if I did, subs if you want more. Thank you guys for watching. Chikiken out.